The one who is most bumming today is Juwan Jennings.
Yeah.
He's like, I was right there.
Yep.
If we just knew the overtime rules, if our coaches just understood what the rules were in overtime.
Some genius.
Stugotz just whispered to me before we put the microphones on, and you'll forgive me if we sound a little bloated. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is the only thing you win in Vegas puffiness. But Stugotz just said to me, I was wrong about everything except for Brock Purdy.
Yep, nailed it. Blah, blah, blah.
The 49ers, or I shouldn't say the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan has now had in Super Bowls multiple leads of 10 points and one lead of 25 points that he has not held on to. Patrick Mahomes, the stats, Stugotz, are crazy.
Yes.
When you look at the amount of winning he has done by the age of 28 years old.
It's insane. I mean, to have 3 Super Bowls, to make it to the Super Bowl for a 4th time, to have 3 Super Bowl MVPs, he is, if you want to call him the second greatest quarterback today, I'm not going to argue you. I'm not.
Wait a minute. That's not what people might be calling him today.
Well, no, he's not the best. Dan.
Okay,
please.
that's fine. You are
Don't embarrass yourself.
You are doing what Skip Bayless is doing. Skip Bayless said Brady would have won in regulation by 14 for either team.
I say 21.
Right.
Yeah. Not my first rodeo. I mean.
Booger McFarland did hit Mahomes on set after the game with best I've ever seen do it as he was shaking his hand.
That's insane.
What's that, Billy?
That's just what you say in the moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
He
yeah,
got caught
exactly
up.
right.
Yeah,
he
caught
said
up.
that to Brady God knows how many times. Dan, if you want a fresh take on GBF this morning, because we did one of those, we played a game of what if Tom Brady came in at halftime?
Wow.
Yep. Or overtime.
For which team?
Not going to tell you. Won't tell you. You're going to have to listen.
You'll have to listen to God Bless Football to find out. This is from Evan Abrams. Patrick Mahomes has trailed by 7+ points in 11 playoff games. He has now taken the lead back in 10 of those 11 games. That's nuts. Brady will have forever over him that Mahomes couldn't beat him in the Super Bowl, and that's going to keep aging better for Tom Brady.
Yes, the head-to-head. Right. With Tampa.
Smart Football, that's right. That's with Tampa. Smart Football says Patrick Mahomes has been a starting quarterback in the NFL for 6 seasons, during which time he, quote, has been to the 4 Super Bowls and won 3 of them, has never finished worse than the AFC title game, won the division all 6 seasons, and in the playoffs has a winning percentage of 83%. Incidentally, the Kansas City Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill and then won back-to-back Super Bowls.
Yes. Crazy.
With nobody. With Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Mecole Hardman as a retread because they cut him into the Jets. They came back with nobody.
They trade Tyreek Hill, and then what their receivers are known for after that is just not being able to catch the football. And they win the Super Bowl with the worst Kansas City team we've seen, I think, right?
Well, the defense is so good.
Speaking of MBS, that 19.5 reception, you always kind of went backwards on everybody when he made that play.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys saw what happened there, I've been making fun of that bet all season because I've lost it all 7 times I've made it. He's always been at plus 13.5 yards and catches. I'm like, he just needs 1 catch. I'll win that bet. I was 0-7 this year making that bet. I never won it.
You were due. I mean.
No, but yesterday was 18.5, and then he
Yeah.
makes the 1 catch for 16, and I'm like, that's how it happens with him.
Yeah.
But then he makes another catch and goes backwards for 3 yards.
Yeah.
And then he makes another catch, and he got over it. He got over to 20 yards.
I had it. Yeah.
Congratulations, Stugotz.
Thank you. I also had the game going to overtime at plus 900. How about that? Had a night.
If you're making that bet, you are making a lot of bets.
It's fun, man. It's the Super Bowl.
Oh, there's nothing like an hour before the Super Bowl. See how many props I can put in this next hour.
Jessica, why did you make a face at what Stugotz was saying there?
Because it was a rough week in Las Vegas, followed up by, I think, a lot of people in this room trying to recoup some of their Vegas losses in the Super Bowl, which is never really a good strategy for betting.
I should say to the entirety of our group that I was really proud of you guys last week. It was a very difficult thing to execute on our own. And I can say, and this one's a stunner, I'm going to name the 3 stars of Super Bowl week right now. Number 3 is Patrick Mahomes. Congratulations to Patrick Mahomes.
Way to go, Pat. Yep.
Number 2 is Stugotz.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Stugotz. And I don't think people understand how hard it is to top Stugotz during Super Bowl week, but this person was a rock star. Greg Cody, the star of Super Bowl week.
Yes.
I don't believe anyone in the history of Super Bowl week or Super Bowl media has ever debuted a surprise band that then performed in front of people.
He didn't want to come back. I was talking to him yesterday, and he was just still smiling, still on cloud 9. I have to, I get as frustrated with him as anyone, and I was smiling all week just looking at him. He was in heaven. It was really cool to see.
It's the happiest I have ever seen your father, and then he got as drunk as I have ever or anyone has ever seen him.
I had to go into dad mode Friday after. He celebrated. He was feeling all the love from the people, and he goes, "Hey, we're done. I'm going to party." And thanks to DraftKings for hosting a little mixer after the event. And my dad generally, he can crush some Miller Lights. He can go all day.
Well, when your dad's a mixer, though.
That's what I mean.
When your dad's a mixer, when he goes beer and then liquor.
He didn't even mix, though. It's worse, Dano. It's worse, Dano. He went straight to the brown. The first drink I saw him with was a Crown and Diet, and I'm just like, it's going to be a long one.
He got a Super Bowl week MVP.
We had to leave for the airport at 9 p.m. By about 7, I had to put people in charge of him when I was leaving his side. Like at one point, I was like, Roy, I'm going over here for a second. Can you watch my dad? And Roy was like, I got you, because everyone could sense he needed it.
That actually tracks, though, because as I went up to Greg as I was leaving the bar, I was like, Greg, you did such an amazing job this week. Like, you really crushed it.
Started weeping.
Tears in his eyes. I was like, oh, man, I got to get out of here. Greg's crying. I got to go.
That was early in the drinking.
That was at like 4.
Yeah.
I was riding that moving walkway thing, Dan, in the airport, and I just hear my name screamed from across the airport and didn't know what it was. And then I saw Greg go, "Mulligan!" Like just screaming from across the airport, sitting next to Jeremy. And I was like, oh, okay. I was in the middle, so then I walked back. And I was like, hey, Greg. And he's just giggling like a crazy person. He's like, we just wanted to see if you'd walk over here. And I was like, all right, have a safe flight, Greg.
I have seen Greg Cody drunk more than any human being, like just as terms of compiling. In my life, there is no human being that I have seen drunk more often. Before this weekend, the drunkest I had seen him was at my brother's very first art show when he got into the red wine and knocked one of my brother's paintings off the wall.
Oh, no.
Wow.
You break it, you buy it, or what?
My brother never forgave him. Went to his grave not forgiving him.
Wow.
He was drunker than that this weekend by 6 p.m. So I don't even know where the night ended up after that.
At a diner at the airport. I was like, Dad, we got to eat.
That was sad.
It was a sad diner. We kind of like ran into this thing where it's like, we don't have enough time now. We wanted to go eat at the place at the hotel, but there was a wait. So it's like, let's just go to the airport so we don't have to rush. And the options at the airport were a sad diner.
Did the diner help? I mean, just in terms of soaking up the alcohol.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, he was a couple rows behind me on the flight. Mm-hmm. I looked back multiple times, asleep. The entire flight. The best sleep he's ever gotten. He woke up in Fort Lauderdale just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
I'll tell you what helped more, Stu. They were giving out Tums at our live show on Friday, and I, thank God, had like 10 in my pocket, and I chewed all of those before our red eye. Shout out to Tums. This is the only thing that got me to Miami the next morning because, ooh.
I am looking at all of us. There are a whole bunch of defeated people in here right now. I don't see a whole lot of freshness right now. I see a lot of people crawling around on their elbows. Billy says that there was a lot of trauma bonding last week.
Yeah, that's how things work on work trips. Lots of trauma bonding. Mm-hmm. You get put into these situations with these people that you know, but you don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you work with them, but you don't know them. Until you go on work trips together, and then you trauma bond. Yeah. That's how work trips work.
And then you know.
Exactly right. I trauma bonded with Lucy and Chris, and I feel like we should have Lucy here to talk about this tomorrow because we went on a zip line together in the middle of the rain over Fremont Street. Yeah.
What happened to Brave Chris? I thought
we'll get to that tomorrow.
Oh, you don't remember seeing it? It never made air.
Yeah.
Glad we did it.
Why didn't it make air?
Okay, we can get to that.
Had nothing to do with me.
Technical issues, rain, wireless microphones, flying 50 feet over people's heads. The people with the other ends of the microphones are 300 yards away or whatever. I don't know. From what I've told, that's going to make air. They're trying to fix it. It's just a quick turnaround for that. But Chris was not happy
Look,
with that situation.
I mean, it's just I don't like these things in general. Look, I know there's an isolated video on social of me just like acting like a baby going down the zip line.
Right.
They don't realize the 45 minutes that we sat there waiting. Okay, my least favorite thing in all of like these type of things is when my body weight is on I can feel my body weight being held by some rinkety dink thing. Okay, and we sat there with my body weight on this thing for a half. I turned into a diva. It was the most I've ever.
You were hanging in the sky for 45
Well, no, they did
minutes?
this thing.
Right, clarify. You're on the edge.
They
Like,
lay
where
you
are
on this thing where you're hooked up, and then they lower the thing away from you.
he was laying on a little like nap pad that kindergartners use that was elevated.
But no,
I wouldn't like that either.
But then they
It
tested
was-
you
it was
when
not
they
out
lowered
hanging.
it. When they lowered it, you were hanging with all your body weight. It was the worst. I
Let
hated
Lucy
it.
explain it to you tomorrow because she
No.
had a firsthand view of the two big babies.
No,
that
Chris
were
is
doing
right
that.
though. But when you go zip lining, okay, and I've done it once, like when they strap you in, you want to just go. Like, don't strap me in and have me sit there for 45
The
minutes.
worst part
please.
is thinking about it right before, and we had to do. It's like, and we had a million camera people there, but yet we had the one camera guy in front of us had to go to the other end. We had to sit there and wait for it. It's just.
We also had the people that were in charge of our safety on it, and very professional people. They were getting also annoyed with the long wait, and there's nothing that you want less in a moment where you're like feeling vulnerable and possibly, at risk for bodily harm than the people in charge of your safety being annoyed with you, because that's what was going on. And I was like, oh, we better go going before someone like unties something or whatever.
And the 30 people that were waiting to go had to sit there and wait for us because we're this like fancy show that comes in and cuts the line.
And you were self-conscious about making other people wait.
Sat there for a half hour making them wait.
Had nothing to do with him, Jess.
I just hated every second of it. I said multiple times, this is my least favorite thing I've done with this show. I hate. I was like, I can leave this right now. I will tell them. I don't have to do that. I almost did
You
that.
almost stormed
There was
off?
a point-
Thought about
There
saying
was a
it.
point where I
Right,
was just
yeah.
like, I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
I have rights.
Yep.
It's been too long. It's raining.
There was a point where it was taking so long. They're like, okay, we're just gonna unhook you guys and let the other people go, and then when you guys are ready, we'll hook you back up. And like, me and Chris looked at each other like, if we get unhooked, we're not getting back on this thing. Like,
got
get out
unhooked,
of here.
I was
I'm
gone.
not doing this whole thing again. But Lucy can tell you about that tomorrow.
All right, I'm glad we embargoed all of that until tomorrow when Lucy and Greg are here.
I trauma bonded karaoke singing also with Mike Fuentes. Thursday was a day, man.
Oh,
I'll
we had
tell
a
you.
day,
We
yeah.
were going back and forth. Like
Yeah.
Wednesday and Thursday when we had like the rehearsals and then we had the live show and we had Radio Row. It was like incredible, and shout out to Kristen and Kirsten and everybody who kind of like did the logistics and the planning and all of the drivers that were involved. But it was like, you're here until 1:10, then you're hopping in this car, then you're driving across town, then you're getting through. And it was like the rush of getting everything done with the minimal amount of time that we had to do it. And Thursday was like the craziest day for that, because we really was like meet and greet the fans, but you have to leave exactly at this time. Get in the car, go through security. We sat down with 2 minutes to spare before our first interview. Then we had 5 straight interviews. Then we had to do this. Then we had me and Dominique's show right after that. So it was like constantly moving around.
And then karaoke.
Well, the karaoke, there was this slight window where it was like me and Mike Fuentes looked at each other.
The slight window was me going to the bathroom. I mean,
We had a slight
Right.
window while we were waiting for the car to get there to then go and take us to the next thing that we had to go to. And then there was this truck that was sponsored by an unnamed alcohol company. And they were like, if you want, you can sign up here and you can get, like a, koozie, or you could get a, whatever, like a keychain or whatever. And we said, you know what? We're just waiting here for the car to get here. We'll sign up. So naturally, as you do in those things, when you don't want to be bothered with things, I signed up with Tony's email. He signed up with Lewis's email. So you guys will be getting, promotional things for the rest of your life at your work email from
a
this
great idea.
alcohol company.
Excellent, yeah.
So we did that. And then we were still waiting for the car. And they're like, you guys want to do karaoke? And we're like, well, we don't really have time, but yeah, we'll do karaoke, because we finished all of our interviews. We finished doing the live show. That was our last day at Radio Row. So it was, a culmination of a week's worth of events. So then we went right in the back of that thing. Backstreet Boys' Backstreet Back is there. You're gonna obviously sing Backstreet's Back all right. And we were killing it. The dancers for this unnamed alcohol company were dancing outside of the truck. There was a window. We were there in like the valet section of the Mandalay Bay, so it was blasting out of the truck. Stugotz is texting us, "Where are you guys? Where are you guys?" While we're singing there, it's me, Mike Fuentes, and Juju just everybody, yeah, killing it.